Hi everyone, my name is Rajita. I'm lecturer in commerce and working at Government Degree College, Mortad. Topic is cooperative banks. Cooperative banks are small financial institutions that offer the lending facility to small business and agriculture in both urban and non-urban regions. So with this, the small business people can get loans easily because when the small business people are approaching commercial banks, they may be neglected. So in this purpose, um, small business people can approach cooperative banks for their financial needs, and here the cooperative banks are providing loans or financial assistance to the people who are in urban and non-urban areas, means the rural areas. The cooperative banks also providing agricultural loans for small farmers uh, who are not able to get proper financial assistance. The cooperative banks have a huge significance for small businesses, as these have around 67% penetration in villages and account for 46 of the net funding for the rural business processing, housing, warehousing, transport, dairy, and agriculture. So this is the these are the banks who can go to almost each and every person's in the villages compared to the commercial bank. So this is the most important and significant element with cooperative banks. Here there are different types of cooperative banks. One is central cooperative banks. So these central cooperative banks are operates in district level. So in this district level banks, the members are cooperative societies, and individuals can also have open an account in the central cooperative banks. So these banks will lend money to the affiliated primary societies and as well as for the individual. So first, if preference is given to the primary society which are operating in villages. So if any one of primary societies which are affiliated to the district level, particular district levels, and central cooperative banks, they can approach for the funds. So the first preference is given to the primary societies in central cooperative banks, and capital of the central cooperative banks will get from state and from NABARD. So the capital of the central cooperative banks will get from state cooperative banks and NABARD. Next type is state cooperative banks. These will operate at state level. For every state, one state cooperative bank will be there. So these state cooperative banks will lend loans to the district level operating banks. So most probably the loans given to the district level banks, and the capital of state cooperative banks gets from NABARD. Next type of cooperative bank is primary cooperative banks. So these are the banks or societies who are operating in villages, and most of the loans getting from cooperative societies are farmers and small business people, and The bank will lend loans to farmers and individuals who are opening account with the uh, bank, and primary and the capital of the primary cooperative banks are from district level cooperative banks and state level cooperative banks. So these are the banks who are providing loans to to the primary sector preferably, and individuals also applying for loans, and they are making banking transactions by opening an account in these banks. NABARD, National Bank for Agriculture and Rural Development. So this is the apex development finance institution in India, which is incorporated in 1982. So this bank was specially incorporated by Government of India for the development of agriculture in rural areas and better infrastructural facilities in rural areas. The bank has been entrusted in the policy, planning, and operations in the field of credit for agriculture and other economic activities in the rural areas. The NABARD is mainly focused on credit for agriculture and the infrastructural facilities for development of rural areas in India, and it is proved that the planning and operations are up to the mark. And let's now discuss the role of NABARD. NABARD has been instrumental in grounding rural social innovations and social enterprises in the rural areas. The concentration of NABARD is totally on rural areas because most of the rural areas in India or India are very poor conditions are there in the rural areas. For that, NABARD is taking initiatives to make development and to meet economic activities in the rural areas. NABARD has 31 it has 31 regional offices and 4,000 partner organizations who are working with the NABARD for the development of rural areas. So let's see the role of NABARD. NABARD is the most important institution in the country which looks after the development of the cottage industry, small scale industries, and agriculture also. So most importantly, it concentrates on the cottage industry and small scale industry for better economic development. NABARD also reaches out the allied economic and supports and promotes integrated development. So it will also tries for integrated development in India, and coordinates in rural financing agencies for the institution providing investment and production credit. As we discussed earlier, the cooperative banks will get the financial assistance from NABARD area. This comes under in this situation, like financing agencies. Rural financing agencies are the cooperative banks in India. So NABARD is providing financial assistance and investment to those financial agencies, and NABARD refinances the financial institutions which finances the rural sector. So ultimately the NABARD is completely providing facilities for rural areas development, and NABARD also keeps a check on its client institutions, like cooperative banks are one of the clients of NABARD. So it will checks for time to time in cooperative banks. It provides training facilities to the institutions working in the field of rural upliftment. So, whatever the agencies or whatever the banks, whatever the institutions working for the development of rural areas, it will also NABARD will also provides training programs to those institutions, and it regulates and supervises the cooperative banks and RRB throughout India. So the other thing is NABARD is also known as SHG Bank. Next is RRBs. RRBs means Regional Rural Banks. So these are the Indian scheduled commercial banks operating at regional level in different states. So these banks transactions will limit to up to state level. So RRBs are created with a view of saving primarily rural areas. So these banks are also incorporated for the development of rural areas in 1975. Let's see some functions of RRBs. Providing banking facilities to rural and semi-urban areas. Most probably these banks will operate in semi-urban and rural areas of the state. Carrying out government operations like disbursement of wages of Mahatma Gandhi rural employment workers. So these workers will get their wages from RRBs which are operating in their states. And the next function is providing para-banking facilities like locker facilities, debit card and credit cards are also issued by RRBs. RRBs are regulated and development of agriculture, trade, commerce, industries and other productive activities. Mainly these RRBs are established for the purpose of development of agriculture, trade and commerce in the rural areas. And the capital of RRBs are shared by government. 50% of investment comes from Government of India, 35% comes from sponsor banks and 15% from state banks. These sponsor banks are Syndicate Bank, Punjab National Bank and Union Bank of India are the sponsor banks for RRB's capital. Negotiable instruments. Negotiable instrument is a document guaranteeing the payment of a specific amount of money either on demand or at a set of time. So here, if we are writing any document by guaranteeing amount on demand or on a date fixed by the drawer and a drawee, so that is called a negotiable instrument, which can be tendered against money. The document consisting of a contract which promises the payment of money without any condition. So there should not be any condition of payment on in the document. So there are different types of negotiable documents there. One is promissory note. Promissory note is a negotiable instrument if it is an unconditional promise in writing made by one person to another, signed by the maker. Engaging to pay on demand to the payee or at the fixed or determined future time a sum certain in money to order or to bearer. So here the details of drawer and payee are written. So here the name, their addresses are written and the specific amount is also written in that paper by accepting the drawee without any condition is called a promissory note. The next is bills of exchange. So bills of exchange is a draft written written order by the drawer to the drawee to pay money to the payee. So bills of exchange primarily used in international trade. A bills of exchange is essentially an order made by one person to another person to pay money to a third person. So bills of exchange requires in its inspection three parties. One, the drawer, the second is the drawee, and the third is the payee. So a person who draws the bill is drawer, that means who are writing the bill is drawer. He gives order to pay money to the third party. So the drawer is mentioning the person name to whom the money to be paid. So that person called as third party. The third party upon whom the bill is drawn is called drawee. So whoever accepting the bill for paying money to the third party is called drawee. So he is the person to whom the bill is addressed and who is ordered to pay. So the third he becomes the acceptor when he indicates his willingness to pay a bill to the third party. It is not necessary that the drawer definitely mentioning a third party's name in the bill. The drawer can draw bill on his name also. The next negotiable instrument is check. So bank checks are also one of the negotiable instruments. The account holder issue check to a person for the payment. The check contains an order. So the customer will order the bank to pay the amount which is written on the check to the bearer or to the person who are depositing it into the bank. So the bank should definitely pay when the check is deposited into account, and if the account holder having cash balance in his account, so the bank must pay the amount which is written on the check. On the checks, the details of person who are issuing are also written. The signature, name, amount in both figures and in words, date, bank name, check number, etc. All the details are written on the check. Negotiable instruments are all comes under the Negotiable Instruments Act 1881. So negotiable instrument is a contract between two persons for the payment of money. So these negotiable instruments should be in a form of written, and there should be signatures of the both persons of drawer and drawee. So if there is no signatures of one of the persons, so it is not a negotiable instrument. That means it cannot be tendered anywhere. So it is must to be signed by both persons. Signing means accepting the negotiable instrument, and it is very necessary. And the negotiable instrument should be without any condition. So if there is any condition, it will not considered as negotiable instrument. So without condition, if two persons are and that means one person is writing and another person is accepting the instrument, then it is considerable under law. So this is about negotiable instruments.